The annual meeting of the World Economic Forum happens in Davos. I chat to some industry experts to help me decode Davos so you know what are the key topics to look out for. Paul, thank you so much for joining me. I would love to chat to you about Davos and the effect on the emerging markets. What are the specific topics you'll be looking for at Davos 2017 that will have an impact on the emerging markets?
So the important thing for emerging markets particularly is trade and interactivity between different markets and developed markets. And so some of the developments we've seen, certainly with the President-elect in the US, Donald Trump, and some of the things he's been saying, the Brexit vote in the UK, these are things which could interrupt the globalization, which is quite important for growth in emerging markets, and China in particular. And so it'll be interesting to see how people approach these subjects and what comes out of it. And of course, that's something that maybe responsive leadership will be key to looking at. And the theme, as is responsive and responsible leadership. And hopefully leaders around the world can discuss these issues at Davos and come up with solutions.
How much impact do the emerging markets have on the discussions, or is it very much the first world leading the discussion?
So the World Economic Forum has the Davos meeting every year in January, and obviously that's important, and that is probably the sort of where the World Economic Forum started. But there are South American, there are African and Asian separate meetings that happen in between the annual meetings. So a lot of the more emerging market issues do get discussed in more detail, especially around Africa, which of course important for us here in South Africa and for people that invest across the continent. And that certainly, it's not left out of Davos, and African issues will be discussed, but it's not the key sessions at Davos.
What are you personally looking forward to learning at Davos 2017?
Well, I want to see how partnerships can be engendered, particularly in emerging markets and Africa in particular, where you need a lot of investment into infrastructure. We know that public-private partnerships are probably the only way to go. When we think of South Africa, we've done a lot of new power plants, especially renewable energy plants, and a lot of that has been done by public-private partnerships between Eskom and public funding, private funding that's come into that. So, this will be important, and I think, the collaboration that happens around Davos hopefully will indicate that we're going to get more of these partnerships going forward.
Cool. Paul, thank you so much for joining me. Emerging markets, not so scary after all.
Pleasure.
Thank you.